Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another podcast of Under the Radar. We are on Season 2, Episode 7, and we have a very special guest with us today. Special guest, say hi and introduce yourself.
I wouldn't say special. Come on now.
Well,
yeah, dead stop. Rel, my name's Rel. I do YouTube and stuff, and yep, and don't know anything about the air game.
Anyone listening to this knows who Rel is, I hope. And he knows everything about the air game. Don't listen to him.
Everything about the air game. I think we went through this exact same thing last time I was on.
Yes.
All
Deja vu much?
Oh, I feel like such a moron.
Okay, we'll make this less awkward by saying this episode's going to be a little bit more community oriented. Me and Roids, I'm sort of hijacking the intro. Sorry, me and Roids are going to be talking about community differences between servers, and Hater is going to talk about the Valkyrie as well as other stuff, and I'll shut up now so that can start to happen.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Along with that, we'll touch on proposals for air overhauls. Oh, overhauls. Overhauls.
I like it the other way.
Overalls.
I like overalls better.
Air overalls.
Just imagine trousers on a Reaver.
Those would be good cosmetics.
Oh
I
god.
feel.
Yeah, let's do
You
it.
know how the NC has the cowboy hat on? Imagine if he had overalls now too.
Overalls and a cowboy hat.
God.
With a piece of straw in his mouth.
And
I think that's what they were going for.
Shotgun attached.
With the infiltrator, people say it was a bra, but I'm pretty sure that was a good attempt at getting them overalls.
The cat's out of the bag now, SOE.
But yeah, we're gonna hand it off to Hater for our first topic.
Oh, Roy, did you want to make that special announcement?
Special announcement?
Of what we will be doing next week?
Hint.
Oh! Next week, stay tuned for the details. We're not sure what time, but we will be live broadcasting our podcast on Twitch, so you can interact with us in the Twitch chat and spam a lot.
We tentatively, we're 90% sure it will be at 12 PST, 3 Eastern PM. 12 p.m. PST, 3 p.m. Eastern next week. And we'll be live streaming this, so you can come along, and we may even have a segment where we answer Twitch questions. We haven't all worked it out completely. If you want to be able to follow the progress we make on that over this week, we know it will definitely happen, but if you want to know the details or if times change, check out the link to the podcast Twitter in the description, and Hater will probably have it on his Twitter as well.
It should be coming online pretty much exactly after the broadcast of the Cobalt Miller match ends in ServerSmash.
I had no idea about that, so thank you, Roids, for being informed.
No problem. Anyways, I'm going to hand it off to you, Hater. Take her away.
Alright, so we got kind of two sort of broad topics to cover here. We'll start with the one I think is a little less broad, because it's the Valkyrie. Something we've touched on before, but that was more closer to when it came out, and now that it's been in the game a little while, we've had some time to see how it's kind of adapted and the rest of the game's adapted to it, if at all. What's it like? How's it doing? Has it made a difference? I don't know, Rel, you said you've been doing the Valkyrie a lot, and I've barely done it at all, so I can't really say much in terms of having used it, just going up against it. So, how do you think the Valkyrie's been doing for its intended role?
It still needs a lot of work, that's for sure. But it's it depends on what you want it to be, right? So if it was supposed to be a combat platform, it's not doing its job. Like even as a light combat platform, it's fun. I have a video up, and it's just me and 3 or 4 other people just have engineers in the back and stacking repairs and roaming around and just just screwing around and basically being unkillable. But it's, you know, beyond that, it's as great as a troop transport. I think it doesn't. I don't think that it needs an afterburner. A lot of people say that sort of thing. I don't think that speed is really an issue because the maneuverability is just so outstanding. But and it's cheap, right? So as far as like a spammable troop transport, you can go in, you can drop guys off with you know, AT mines, take out Sunderers all day long. You can, like, that in my mind right now is the role that it performs, and it does it very well. But if we wanted to be something beyond that, yeah, it's definitely not there yet.
Now, as far as saying like it's a spammable anti-tank, or you know, just any form of spammable, like I don't know about you guys on Connery, but I don't see many Valkyries on Emerald, almost at all. And I try to play during peak hours sometimes and off peak hours other times. You know how my schedule works, but no matter what, I don't see too many Valkyries around.
Well, that's because I want to say that that's because it's a very squad-oriented vehicle, and a lot of people are still in the mindset of pulling galaxies because galaxies have results and you can use them past, you know, just the initial troop drop, but they're also a little bit more expensive. So as far as, you know, running small squads, I will pull them nonstop if I know that there's Sunderers that need to go down. If I have a squad, I, you know, say, okay, pull the Valk, jump in, you know, they spawn right into it, and then they go and bust Sunderers, and that's what it does. But it's spammable because it's 250 resources, and that's it. Whereas your Galaxy's 450, True. And resources, they're still have a whole lot of them. Like, there's not a huge issue, but if you compound it with just like doing a whole lot of things, like if you're running like you spawn in with a loadout that has a bunch of grenades or has a bunch of anti-tank mines, and that's definitely a draw. So I don't know.
I feel like it's it feels sort of awkward, the fact that it is spammable, and also the fact that it's really only useful when you have 6 people. Because when you're throwing 6 people into one aircraft, it doesn't need to be cheap. Like, you have 6 people all collecting resources. Like, anyone can pull it and hand it off to someone else. It feels like having something that's ineffective yet inexpensive and only kind of works when there's a lot of people is just sort of an inefficient use of those people, I guess, because you have so many nanites that are accumulating and not being used towards anything that spectacular.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, you can also look at it as just an inexpensive way for you to get from one base to the other, because you can pull those, you know, all day long and also not impact your own, you know, consumables or whatever. But I mean, you don't need to have like 6 people in it to make it work. It's like, if you're using it specifically as a transport, you just spawn people right into it, and you just keep doing that constantly. And as long as you got one guy in the gunner seat, and you're not, you're playing like on the outskirts of a battle, you're playing it safe, and then you go in when you need to draw people. It's basically like a really fast, or a very maneuverable galaxy that obviously isn't as tanky. I like it.
I could actually see that. Sometimes I'll see galaxies like just sitting at flight ceiling, and the pilot will be like looking at porn and munching Doritos and not noticing when people will kill him. But the Valkyrie seems like a more active way to accomplish that goal, and maybe more specific spots. More pinpointed spawns, I mean, like better drops than just sitting above a base.
Yeah.
I actually never saw it as a good like Sunderer attack option before. I guess it's because I'm just used to the ESF way of attacking things, but
my main issue with it, even as a squad support thing, it's supplementary to the Galaxy, because the Galaxy you can drop your whole payload in once. You can drop a whole squad, whereas a Valkyrie you have to trickle in, and there's far more impact you can have just on pure shock value by bringing 11 guys into a point room versus 5 at a time.
4 if you have a gunner.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. No, and it's not that the Valkyrie is like even a baby galaxy. They serve completely different functions. It's the same function, but in a different scenario. So when you need to really, bust through all the flak and all the missiles and whatever that are heading your way, that's what you bring the galaxy for. 10 out of 10 times, bring the galaxy, drop all your guys, on point, maybe get away. It's is definitely the big bruiser. But for smaller battles and for smaller, like, where you need to stay out of the air, when you need to stay low to the ground, I think the Valkyrie, it has a really good feel to it. It flies well. It serves, what I feel is its purpose right now. But also, I think that there's, like, you look at squad spawning, you're not going to run a Valkyrie without squad spawn. It doesn't make sense. It's like, if you're going to have fire suppression is going to give you not a whole lot of survivability, and neither are flares, compared to just being able to spawn an engineer in and then have them rep you. So that to me should be default. And there's other little quirks that make it, like, it needs a lot to make it work, I think.
Going off of that, I'd say pretty much the squad spawn makes the entire vehicle work. Like, that's its only use really on live is from that. And I think just what is on the actual plane, the gun, the maneuverability, and its potential to fight and stay alive, that's what's really lackluster right now.
I don't get why they didn't include that in the get-go. Like, I mean, they moved Sunderers to all have the deployability. Galaxies have squad spawn automatically. Why do Valkyries have to have it equipable? Like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Why it should be that way.
Well, I think part of it was because, first off, they introduced it, right, and they want to look at numbers. So as soon as they see, which they should be seeing that now. So like how many people are equipping squad spawn over other options, they're going to say, okay, this probably needs some tuning. And then think about when the Valkyrie first came out, the passengers were dying really, really quick because there was no resistance to flak. But now that there is that resistance, you have people staying in the Valkyrie a lot more, which gives them the opportunity to... I think that they were thinking that having that resistance for passengers would make it more viable as a tool outside of needing to spawn people in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
So, but they're wrong, in my opinion. So hopefully they'll see that, because, yeah, it just makes sense for it to be a squad-like support vehicle.
Agreed.
Roids, did you have something before that at all? I thought I heard you start talking before you cut off, but...
No, he touched on it.
Okay.
All good.
All right, so we'll move on to the second major topic here. I've been seeing not too much, but because I've seen some pretty detailed posts going along the lines of this, on top of, like, I'd say there are at least 2 threads on Reddit side that I saw that were really, really hot topics about Sky Knights. And all the Sky Gods are ruining their game, etc. And then there's the backlash of, no, it's Tomcats and Coyotes that are ruining it. And that whole argument, it's not new. But I see a shifting kind of attitude, I guess, that the air game needs a major overhaul to fix it in terms of making it fun again. That's a very generalized way of putting it, which I don't really like to say it like that, but I guess that's the best way to start it out. So, I don't know. Roids, do you have something?
Oh, I was going to say post merges, because Miller and Cobalt had just recently got merges. They are starting to get the Connery effect. I don't know if Emerald's gotten any of this. From what Ginger tells me, when he's flown on it, it hasn't really touched it, but you're starting to see massive lock-on gank squads. Connery is probably the worst of all servers for this right now, because currently we have 3, and 2 of them are on TR. There's 26 SP, and then Vanu have the Vanu Air Service, and it's basically just a ball of 24 competent pilots running lock-ons, running around.
Semi-competent. I'm going to throw that semi on there.
Semi-competent, but
very big
at
semi
the point,
in bold and underline and italics.
It's at the point where Sky Knights, whoever term, I want to punch whoever coined that term.
Sky Goats.
I know.
Let's do it. Let's make it a thing.
But career pilots have just given up trying, because after the resource overhaul, there's no point trying to fight back, because they always have resources. there was a point where you could be proficient enough at AA that if you were careful, you could punish an air Zerg by out-resourcing them by killing them enough.
I
At
do
this
miss
point,
that
you
about
can't.
the old resource system, yeah.
Because it punished you from making mistakes. Now, at this point, it's very much catered to a more suicide infantry approach that PS2 has because of just the sheer numbers and the scale and stuff. It's just often door to door, wall to wall, and you're starting to see SOEs getting their their new player experience thing where pilots are experiencing like people bailing, people ramming, just all these really unsatisfactory things that you see all these new pilots and ground players trying to get into the air game. That is a whole new slew of problems that are far worse than not being skilled enough to go toe to toe with a pilot because they had something to live up to at that point. Now I think you're starting to see the opposite. It's just no fun because it's skill less. Like I can go up in the air and kill a bunch of things. If I'm about to die, I bail out and or ram the other guy. And that's pretty much the attitude of the new generation of pilots that are coming along.
I think there's skill in that. I think if you are able to bail out and ram the other guy with your empty vehicle, there's the skill. That means you're really good. That's like Sky Knight status right there.
I am a beacon of hope for my faction, and I will kill this enemy.
That's actually an interesting way of putting it, Roids. And I like how you put that. But I wanted to ask Wrel, since he was talking about earlier how he's having an easier time flying. He's also on Emerald, though, so maybe that'll play into our discussion later about the server cultures. But flying for you, Wrel, not into Valkyrie, just ESF Lib Gal, how's it been? Compared to how it used to be for you.
A lot easier. It really, really is. And like you said about server culture, but I want to touch on it anyway, but Prey was a major, major threat. And like one of the only recognizable ones on Emerald. And I haven't seen them. So there's basically just... I think everybody is not on the same level, obviously. You still have very skilled pilots around, but they're not running with the same type of coordination. And to me, that seems like maybe a way, maybe there's something wrong with the way that the air game scales. As far as if you have two Reapers or whatever versus one guy, it's like instant kill, right? If you're forced to run with people, that is not the same way on the ground. If you're running infantry, you can solo and do whatever. But what am I trying to say?
I think you're talking about playstyles.
Right. Well, yeah. It's not even so much playstyle as it might be a problem for the air game as a whole. Like, okay, so you're talking about that air ball, right? Of just 20 whatever sides, and that's like how are you going to be able to stop that?
With your own airball of that many size, or
exactly. But that's really not the way that it works on the ground. And I want to make this comparison because if you're playing PlanetSide 2, you're doing it for a number of reasons, and you don't necessarily need to be in a squad. And a lot of people are going to get angry about that, whatever. But I enjoy playing solo. Does that mean that if I want to get in the air game, I have to find a group, I have to run with people in order to even feel remotely effective, in order to not get gibbed instantly? There's a scaling when it comes to burst damage versus like the amount of health that a vehicle has. And like infantry, 1-on-1, it's always going to happen, even 2-on-1. If you get the jump on people, that doesn't really happen in the air game to me, because you see, if you're cognizant of just everything that's going on around you, you're going to be able to see when you have a threat approaching, and then you deal with it. But if you see 3 threats approaching, what can you do? You run, and that's like the only thing that you can do, and it makes the game feel like really, really one-dimensional.
Thank you.
Yeah, the scaling is like it's the problem with air, and I mean, to an extent, you have to have like numbers have to count for something. Like, if you win a 2v1 and you're the one, it's not going to feel good if numbers didn't matter. So I mean, to an extent, scaling and just being outnumbered has to count for something. Like, yes, being outnumbered is an advantage or a disadvantage depending on which side of it you're on. But
Yeah, I agree. I
scaling
completely
is
agree.
just it's off. It doesn't really offset that advantage in a
I think a
meaningful
lot
or
of that-
fun way.
I think a lot of that dread when you see 3 opponents in the air coming and stuff is the knowledge that one of those guys has a guaranteed damage weapon, no matter what. So you take away a glimmer of hope that you can dance around and have a skillful battle of some kind without being hit by some kind of, for lack of a better word, some kind of noob tube. Just lock on lols, more points. Haha, fun.
Yeah. No, there's that. And I mean, just going back to what Rel said, I think that's honestly the biggest problem. Okay, I don't want to say biggest problem with the air game, but it's something that needs to be balanced around. And a lot of people make this mistake that you should just get friends. Like, this is a game about scale, but in the air, like you can play solo and infantry because you have so many resources to fall back on. You have people that are literally right next to you in a fight that you're supporting, and they're supporting you. You have cover. You have maybe an infiltrator cloak. You can juke around with what's around you. But in the air, it's just open space. It is nothing but the people that are on your team and the people that are on their team. And so the scaling, the number of each person is absolutely everything that makes the difference. And so if you have people that are in a squad, the only way that you can counter that is to react to that with your own squad of equal or greater size or skill or whatever. There's nothing to play around with. That you can't use the teammates that you aren't that aren't immediately next to you, because really there aren't going to be that many people immediately next to you if you're playing solo. It forces you to get in a squad, which isn't really even always an option.
Well, you already touched on it, but cover is like absolutely essential. Cover and positioning, and that's what creates the ability to be. I mean, outside of just aim, and headshots or whatever, creates the ability for you to take on these kind of insurmountable odds as infantry, and even as vehicles to a certain degree, or as ground vehicles. But in the air, doesn't exist. So like you said, it's numbers versus numbers, and that's basically how it goes. Even at like during server smashes, you see airball, and then they're just going up against each other. I don't. Is there really a point? Somebody kind of enlighten me here, because I obviously don't play the air game, but I see it every time, and I'm not sure why it's a thing.
If you, especially with the server smashes, if you go back and you watch the footage of where an airball gains dominance for any amount of time, the most glaring one would be when Cobalt dominated Connery's air. When air can properly transition to air-to-ground rolls, the result is utterly devastating, because it becomes a force multiplier in the fact that you can cut off spawns, you eliminate all chance of your enemy ever pushing. You can take out vehicles before they get to the base, so it automatically puts your forces on the front. But most of the times in server smash, you see airball versus airball versus airball constantly, because they're negating each other, because it's such an even fight that basically it's a fight for keeping your infantry clear. And I have an example in server smash where I was leading against Miller on Ezimir, and I only had half a platoon of air, and there was a platoon of air over Waterston's Redemption, formerly named the Octagon. And we were capping it, and they were getting bombed the crap out of. So I sent all my planes in, and we all died, but we bought them 2 minutes to cap the base, because negating the air is as important as destroying it, because it gives ground cover to breathe and maneuver.
That makes perfect sense, especially when you think about just how everything in the server smash is like ready, set, go. And then you're kind of vying for who's going to get the foothold first. And
yes,
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So how does that apply to the live server?
The thing is, there's only one group of guys that I can think of that used to do it, and they ran it for 1.5 years until they're burnt out, and that's the TTA on Connery, and it's combined arms, so they could move across the continent seamlessly with a 48 ground-to-ground ball. ravage area, move their infantry in safely so they could set up for a point hold, and then move on, and then make sure they won't be harassed by vehicles, and just force an infantry fight.
Neon actually would do something similar to this back when it was actually like a thing and being led correctly. Stuff happened there, but they would actually go into whatever active platoon was happening, and the air lead would go in and be like, "Hey, just so you guys know, we're going to be giving you air support now, and so we're just going to help you guys and take out whatever objectives you need." And maybe they'd go into their team speak or something, but they'd partner up with another major squad and give them air support and do the air to air and then transition to the air to ground and just basically kick ass because they had a really good system for a while.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is you don't see this on live because there's no reason to do it. It's just a big glorified team deathmatch. If there was any tactical objectives you could kill with air behind enemy lines or stuff, that would force enemies to run air squads against you. But at this point, if you run an air squad on the continent for any more than half an hour, that continent becomes barren of enemy air. And then it's just over.
Asterisk, if you run an air squad that is roaming the continent and killing pilots, it becomes barren. If you're running an air squad that is contributing to a single fight, that's really healthy and cool.
That is, but even when I run my air squads, we cap the base, and then there's usually a 1.5 minute time frame where the ground platoon is setting up to move to the next base and or a new objective. So we have 1.5 minutes to roam, which gives us area of about half the continent because we're so fast. We can just ravage everything, and then we go back to our job.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to touch on this too much just because we have covered it a lot this season. But,
anyways.
Let's move back to...
I hijacked that. I apologize.
No, yeah.
It was a good
cool.
tangent. But it kind of does highlight one thing that now I notice that you kind of mentioned it, that running air squads that are going to be efficient at both gaining air superiority and then taking advantage of that to do air to ground and help ground troops is actually something you don't really see too much. And Prey was a great air squad and all, but they never did air to ground. And while they could clear airspace more effectively than probably anyone else in the game, if I was on the ground, I was never scared of them. It was never a problem because you knew they wouldn't come to the ground and help. So running air squads to that effect, it's something I tried with Golem. I didn't really have time to perfect it in any way at all, but we'd try to just have one squad of the air-to-air guys, and we'd clear an airspace and say, okay, air-to-ground squad, come in and do your thing. And it was kind of crude, but it was somewhat effective, but you just don't see even that too often.
Prey was interesting too. In fact, I'm kind of a little bit afraid now that they're gone because they provided a lot of peer pressure. Like, oh, you're running Topcats, we're going to group up and kill you, and then we're going to go to your warp gate and camp it and continue to kill you until you log off for the evening. That's pretty much, when I did run with them, that's pretty much how it worked. They would get on Indar and be the knights in shining armor whenever douchebags were online and just purge Indar of their stupidness.
Knights in shining armor is the last thing Prey was, sorry to say. And while they did do good at that, at the same time, that was also not the way to fix the air game.
Yeah, no.
It's like bullying people into doing what we want them to do and not seeing the core problem of it. But yeah, before we go off on too big a tangent about that, I don't know, I guess that kind of wraps up the topic unless anyone has anything else to say. Yes, no, right. Maybe so, no. Okay,
this actually transitions into my topic pretty well. My topic is last week's recording footage, and I already told Roids about this, but I haven't mentioned it too much to other people. If you guys have been paying attention, viewers, to the background footage, which I don't blame you if you don't, it's supplementary for one of the mediums that we get this podcast out. If you listen on iTunes, that's totally cool, or through the media on the website. But the background footage, if you've been sort of looking at it, past couple episodes recently where I've started to be recording the background footage, there hasn't been as much of it, and what of it was there has been pretty frustrating. I've had a lot of footage where I've just actually died to lock-ons repeatedly and then rage quit the game. And that's been pretty much most of the footage on Connery. In fact, I think for episode 5, there's one consecutive stream of, I think it was about 8 minutes, and I died 4 times. One of them was accidentally running into something. The other 3 were 2 lock-ons, and I had to get off because of no resources. That's pretty much Connery right now. The background footage for episode 6, the one we had X on, our most recent one before this, I was flying on Emerald, and there was a single lock A the entire episode that appeared on the screen. This was like an hour of recording and flying around on Emerald. One lock A. It was coyotes. It was a single salvo of coyotes that I could have easily flared. I was running flares for some dumb reason. I actually don't have fire suppression sorted out on Waterson yet. So I was completely wasting my utility slot because I never needed to flare any airlocks. It was insane. Like, Emerald was completely Tomcat free. Like 100% for the time that I flew there. And obviously this is an hour-long window that I'm giving this opinion on. I don't fly on Emerald constantly and fly on Connery constantly. I'm not playing the game between school and not enjoying flying on Connery. I haven't been playing this game as much as I probably should. But from that window, I really got the impression that Emerald was, oh, wow, this is a very different world. And I've ran into a lot of really good pilots. I had awesome dogfights in last week's footage, like just really, really spectacular, cool dogfights. And I lost some of them and I won some of them. And I had fun, like flying solo for the first time in a while and sort of experienced the air game. Not, obviously not in a perfect, idyllic, we need a rework scenario, but it sort of threw me back to pre-PO2, pre-ESF update when that was the standard to fly to an area and have cool dogfights with good pilots in order to take control of bases. Like that was, or take air control over bases.
I can even throw my 2 cents into that to support it. Like last Monday I was playing and we had Indar, so we had the aerospace bonus, which is awesome, by the way, with the new resource system. Kind of broken, but awesome, because I can just keep pulling mosquitoes one after another, and like pretty much never run out of resources for it. But I just kept coming up against some really good Vanu pilots over and over, and I just kept pulling Rotary and Hornets, and I was like, even though I'm losing continually against these guys, I'm able to pull my plane, and I'm having fun practicing using Hornets and a dogfight against good pilots because they're not using air-to-air missiles. So I'm able to do that in a fairly good environment. And I did that for about half an hour straight, just pulling a Hornet Mosquito and going after these guys. And even though I lost a lot, it was fun. And I got a lot better with air-to-air Hornets because of it.
Well, I feel that's an environment conducive to learning as well, because you have a chance to respond as well. You're not being alphaed so hard that you can't, figure out what to do or try something, and then you can keep doing that again and again. Versus a more volatile environment, it's not near as kind to the user.
Yeah. Oh my god, brain fart. Whew. Okay, so it was a very different experience than Connery. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is I think if Don Alfrego and his merry band of assholes were to all make Emerald accounts and buy Tomcats on their ESFs, I think they would win, essentially. I think that the sort of metagame for air right now is going to be centered around and is heading on every server in the direction of, even though it's not there yet on every server, it is on Connery, of Tomcats are the absolute most effective weapon, and running a Tomcat in a large squad is how you get air superiority in the game right now. Emerald hasn't figured that out yet, and as a result, it's a fun environment to fly on, because at the moment, the way to be most effective in the air is not the most fun way to play the game. In fact, it's really frustrating and boring and shitty.
I think that ties directly into server culture and server merges. I don't know. Can we move on from your topic, or do we still want to discuss it in depth? Because I could perfectly transition from here.
Go ahead, and then we'll come back to my emails after that.
Okay, sounds good. I call it the post-merge traditions, for a sense, or lack of a better term. But essentially, like especially with Emerald, you have strong air traditions from Waterson. You have C-150, you have Prey, you have people remembering the remnants of Nuck as well as Zaps and stuff. And if you're not a very experienced pilot, you just
Roids?
Derp.
sorry,
Oof.
Dirt. Sorry, a Steam message. Holy cow, spaced out there. And you specifically have this mindset from your current player base that has gone into the new server that you fly in this specific way in order to encounter these people. And that same goes for Matherson. You have NNG, you had QRY, and stuff like these very dominant air squads that moving in. Whereas, like post original Connery Helios mode, you still had that. And then it slowly degrades from there as the level of play and enthusiasm and culture of the outfits change. And I think that's where Emerald right now, and will be for probably 3-4 more months, will be a more fun environment to fly on. But I know for a fact Cobalt and Miller start seeing a massive decline in their pilots because a lack of strong air corps leadership in air squads, that they're starting to see the formation of more casual gank squads more and more often being successful, taking over certain continents. The pilots are leaving the game because of that.
Let's clear air because fuck air instead of let's clear air because it's fun to play.
Basically.
Yeah.
But that's also the point that PlanetSide 2, I feel, is people aren't having fun, so fuck other people's fun. Because I know there's people like that out there. There's people in my
I'll
outfit
make my
like
own
that.
fun with blackjack and hookers, and I'll take yours to do that.
Anyways, we'll go back to yours, Ginger. Sorry for the sidetrack again.
Okay. No, that's fine. And I think that's what a lot of the people who run in the lock-on squads get off on is essentially, I've never been able to fly up until now because these asshole aces shoot me down, and now I can keep them from playing the game. Yay, this is so great. And making it so other people can't have fun is not obviously particularly healthy. So from that, I just wanted to say that one thing I would like to translate that into this podcast. Probably I'm going to be doing some more stuff on Emerald. For a while during Season 1, I was talking about how I was going to main Waterson account. Now I think it's basically I'm going to have to do that out of necessity because I can't fly on Connery anymore. At least not for more than about a minute and a half before I get shot down by Tomcats. So I'm going to be doing some more flying on Emerald and going back to Connery 2 and trying to get a feel for the differences in server culture. And then one thing I would also like to do is explore the European servers, and whether that means continuing this topic to a future episode with a guest who is more acquainted with those servers, or just shadowing that. But I want to, or foreshadowing that, but that is something I want to explore in the future, is, how differences in server cultures could pertain to differences in people's opinions on how they think things are, what needs they have from the air game. Everyone on the subreddit seems to think a different thing, whether it be that Sky Knights are toxic players, or hey guys, lock-ons are really not fun, or I don't understand why you're complaining about lock-ons, they're not that bad. There's all these different things, and I'd like to sort of gain a clarity on, maybe, hey, this guy's from this server, that's probably why he thinks this. So not to use that against that person, but I'd like to sort of get a consistent understanding of where everyone in the discussion is coming from, essentially.
I wish you luck with that, because
Yeah.
it's so intricate. Like,
is.
because everybody has their own, opinions just within the servers as well. And being able to like record, I guess, and translate that, it's not something you can do, in any like reasonable amount of time. So yeah, good luck.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Maybe not down to the individual player and saying, oh, well, he's from here, so we should think this. But I would at least like to have an idea and talk about it on here. This is generally what's happening on this server. Or just sort of have a feel for how the air game changes based on different communities of pilots and players and in general, not necessarily down to the average person.
These people come from a
individuals.
farming community. They are hardworking.
Now, what you're saying about
Hardworking
Connery and Emerald, that's really, really interesting because as flying on Emerald, I've been getting shot down more and more by air-to-air. And that's actually like, I feel like, and maybe it's just because it's what I'm noticing, that's what's killing me right now is the air game. And I wonder if, it's because that void that Prey left, or if it's just that the people are pursuing directives. That might be part of it too. But
to be honest, if anyone's pursuing a directive with Tomcats for kills, they're crazy. I can attest to that. Tomcats were the hardest to actually get kills with, so I don't know. I would just say if it's Tomcats killing you, it's probably not because they're going for directives. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. That's good to know.
It was the last thing I got the Araxium on, so.
Oh, I can't hit anything with a nose gun, so.
Yeah. But I mean, if people were just going for the directives, I'd expect them to do rocket pods and the anti-infantry nose guns, because those are easy to spam kills with, followed by Hornets, probably one of the other nose guns, rotary.
Entering Sinist farm mode.
Yeah.
What, I mean, this is actually goes back, but what would you do to fix it? Fix lock-ons?
Honestly, if they're going to keep the guaranteed damage where they hit you for sure, they need to scale down the damage. If they're not going to scale down the damage, they need to add more flares. So flares become a viable option besides, I just bought myself 5 seconds more before I die. So it's more ammo-based kind of flares, so you get like 5. So you can engage in a fight for a period of time and then you have to bug out. Just because you have no flares, and then if that doesn't work, then you have to bug out. But that's just ESF to ESF centric.
Right. The problem with flares in general is just that you can pop them and then continue to spam people on the ground before taking off.
Yeah, and that would be a problem with the air-to-ground balance. But I would like to see all air-to-ground capabilities removed from ESFs and then the libs being buffed back up. So there's a necessity to, running air squads for killing libs and clearing the skies as well as supporting libs for ground support. But that's a deeper meta than I don't know if PlanetSide 2 can handle that.
I mean, we saw a suggestion that I really liked. Okay, I didn't say I liked it, but for the most part, I liked it. There was another cool idea where if the missile is, if you are facing the missile, like it follows your engine. So if you're facing the missile, it will lose its lock. And it won't fly up into the air, it'll just kind of fly straight. And then if you turn around, it'll regain its lock as long as it's behind you. Which means you can't shoot at people, like you can't be behind your rushing squad mates and shoot at people from a distance, because if they just look at you, they'll hit you. But if you want to get that Tomcat damage in, you have to get in there and get behind them and be up close and trying to struggle to acquire the lock at close range, or it will obviously still work against people who are running away from you.
See, how frustrating would it be to think that somebody has only a nose gun and they're going to fight you honorably, and then as soon as you decide to turn tail, or as soon as somebody decides to turn tail, they just pull their lock-ons on you because they know that that's when they can use them.
We'll just turn around and fight them honorably.
My face went our guitar. My face went our guitar.
I think that would appease too small of a populace, but there needs to be something put in place where the limitations on the arc of lock-on missiles, so they can't, 180 and go back the other direction and hit you still, and just the weird stuff that goes on with lock-on missiles, because it's...
Yeah, lock-ons in general, I think need to be more... It needs to be more skill-based as far as avoidance. Well, it needs to be skill-based, period. A specific maneuver. And we talked about that last time, and it's still an issue. But outside of that, I think that lock-ons in general, like coming from the ground, is kind of an issue too. So if you wanted to bypass the issues with flares also being okay, well, let me put it this way: cloud cover. Cloud cover has been suggested time and time again, and when it's when you're talking about like dealing with air, zergs or air balls or whatever, if there was cloud cover that people could fight around, make air-based combat more skillful than it is right now, or give you kind of an anchor. But at the same time, it would separate your conflicts with the ground as well, and kind of give you that sort of. It would make it more fun overall. Kind of separate the playstyles between air and ground, or air to ground.
I would love that so much, but there would have to be a standardized line. Like, you could get away with that on the PS4 because everyone's running on the same graphics, but your graphic settings are low, for example, on PlanetSide. Like, you can't see infiltrators, and you don't see smoke. So if someone smokes a room, you don't see it. You just see the people running through it. I think that'd be a problem for people rendering clouds and stuff like that. Though that would be so fantastic. That would be amazing. I would love that so much.
What if it was What if there was a HUD indication, right, when you're above a certain level, like maybe don't do clouds, maybe just do like nanite ion interference, whatever, and then so when you're above that certain area, then you can kind of fight amongst yourselves honorably or whatever, and be or maybe it just like lowers the range at which you can use lock-ons. I mean, it's just like these sorts of solutions exist, or can exist, but I think that's we look at it very, like, even when I asked you the question, what would you do to change this? It was very focused on the weapon itself, opposed to the situations that are creating these sorts of conflicts. So I think that we kind of need to you said, overhaul the air game. Like, that's, I think, what it really comes down to, is less about the weapons, though lock-ons are obviously an issue, but more about the game as a whole.
But we're partly limited by what can SOA realistically accomplish, because if we give them this super awesome formula for the air game to fix everything and make everything good again, and they only do half of that, then it won't work. And with their track record of kind of making a bunch of little tiny changes to things related to the air game over a long period of time, that kind of screws with the whole meta overall. And so whatever changes would work, small or big, I just can't see SOE realistically being able to implement them in a way that actually makes it work.
It would have to be all implemented at once in one blanket change that would solve a lot of the issues. It can't be piecemeal.
That's exactly what I told Higby way back right before the big ESF update with all the new ESF weapons, and it fell short, honestly, to my expectations of like some sort of overhaul. So it hasn't gotten better since then, obviously.
Sad days.
Very sad.
Can I move on to server culture? Ginger?
Go for it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I want your guys's, before I go on my tangent, I'd like your guys's takes on the different servers you played on, what you've noticed, everything from infantry to air, the subtle differences. I guess we'll start with Wrel, if you'd like to kick it off.
And just, sorry, as far as the air game on Emerald compared to elsewhere?
The air game, the infantry game, the attitudes of outfits, how like outfits interact with each other. It's pretty broad, so you can focus on most affects you, the things you notice the most.
Okay, so when the servers merged, Watterson and Matheson, there's influx of really skilled VS players, and what I instantly noticed shoot up was galaxies. Galaxy use, not as a transportation, not as drop, but just like taking Galaxy to small fights and then just pulling out the bulldogs, and that is like one of the most substantial changes that I felt as the servers merged, and just with the the loss of prey, I guess things are definitely changing. If that makes the server more fun, then that is what it is. But is when more strategies start to develop, I think that that it might bring us back to those sorts of dark days.
Da-na-na.
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say.
That's all
Well,
good. That
I
was
don't know.
good.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I do see a lot of Vanu galaxies around these days now, and as much as I try take them on, I'm usually flying solo now, so I can't really do that too often. But I think their success is also partly due to there aren't very many organized air squads running around all the time that know to combat them. Not necessarily know how to, but they just realize, hey, they're actually using those galaxies. They're not there just for shits and giggles. And without just better air squad tactics, even at a minor level, but just people who are working together as an air squad. They don't seem to realize that for some reason, because I'm always seeing these galaxies up, never getting shot at.
Roids, do you know of MQCH?
Yeah, Monarchs.
Yeah. What
Mickey
they'll
LaCroix?
do is they'll take a single. That was my dog barking. Wow. So they'll take a single galaxy and they'll put 6 heavies and 6 NGs in it. And in the rare scenario that someone starts targeting them, they will land, all 6 NGs will start repairs, and all 6 heavies will point lock-ons up into the sky at whatever was shooting them. And so you think, oh, the galaxy landed, now it's time for me to get in close and out-damage it. And suddenly all you see is lock G, and then
We taught
you
them
start
that.
seeing
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you start seeing the missiles come flying up at you, and you're like, oh, and then you're dead.
Gee!
And that's another kind of cheap, but I have to give them credit every time. I mean, it's so cheesy, but it's also kind of hilarious. And whenever I see an MQCH Galaxy, I have to play around it.
Dude, they're conservationists. They're trying to save the whales.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's funny is that Halloween event.
Hashtag save the whales.
What? Yeah.
Go ahead, Wrel.
The Halloween event forced all the anti-air to come out of the woodwork, and I think that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm seeing like a lot more sky guards, a lot more walker harassers, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, because people are hunting pumpkins with their ESFs primarily, and that's good pickings.
That's when I go hunting on Connery right now, because you just see people flying low to the ground looking for pumpkins, and I'm just going, come on, guys. You should know better by now. But it's just like the snowman thing, like people just get it's like mating season for deer, they just get those blinders on and they just go after the scent. No, hater, internet failing. Okay, well, sorry, go ahead. Ginger.
No, you go.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk about Connery first before moving on to Emerald. I don't know too much about the interpolitics of Miller, Briggs, or Cobalt, so I can't really speak to them. But Connery, for a long time, and it looks like it'll continue this way until it's only the competitive outfits left, has essentially a handful of outfits that essentially poach. I don't want to poach is such a terrible word, but essentially end up, for whatever reasons, for their reputation or just the level they run at, end up getting all the competent people on the server. And so that's your outfit leaders, your squad leaders, your best shooters and stuff. And the 2 most guilty ones are Future Crew and Recursion, which are probably some of the, like, in the top 5, if not top 10 kind of best outfits in PlanetSide. They just absorb all the best players, leaving the rest of the player base with little to work with as far as who's going to teach me to do this, who's going to lead me and stuff. And that's the one big difference I see between Connery and Emerald, is where you have strong leadership spread out between what you consider your Zerg fits, your mid-tier outfits, your tactical outfits, and your competitive outfits. Whereas Connery, all your good leadership is directly into your competitive outfits, causing a complete power vacuum as well as an ambition vacuum. for.
Do you know that though? I mean,
I
there's
know.
there's probably
Sorry, go
like
ahead.
people that aren't even on your radar because they don't come from like a huge outfit, but or a well-known outfit.
I jump around TeamSpeaks quite often, and I interact with other outfits and try and organize a lot of things. And Connery is devoid of great leadership, except for those few outfits that have absorbed other outfit leaders and what's left of like the core of certain things. Because within each outfit, you have your pillar of your community, your interlocking thing, where you have your players that if one leader leaves, another takes his place kind of thing. And a lot of these outfits, when I'll use Jank for example. Here's Jank. If Jankman is not on, Jankman does not run. Just period. Like they don't run. It's an outfit of over 1,000 people. But if Jankman, their cult of personality leader, is not on, they do not go because there is no other leadership. And the same goes on for other outfits. And outfits like Future Crew and Recursion actively seek out highly skilled players and invite them into their community and lure them in with higher level play. And so this becomes an issue when Connery moves into things like ServerSmash, because Connery has taken a very egalitarian outlook to ServerSmash, where every outfit that signs up gets a chance to be in it. So every outfit only gets a squad. And so all of a sudden, your core of your best players cannot represent your server. So it's only a sliver of what your server actual thing is. Actual competence and killing power. And you end up having these outfits that don't know how to redeploy. I said to the guys earlier before the podcast, I got a squad of EXE pilots asking me whether they should run engagement radar during a ServerSmash. And this was before, while we were starting at engagement radar, and asking me what photon pods were because they had never flown a scythe. And I nearly lost my mind.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But along with that, the server culture also, on the Vanu side, because Future Crew is such they play redeploy side to the nth. They care about farming on live, and that's how they have fun. And that's all good. But a lot of other outfits look up to them. And so what you end up getting is Zerglings trying to emulate the playstyle of Future Crew, which is a farm type playstyle, so it's incredibly passive. It's never attacking, never being aggressive, but not doing it properly and incompetently because of the lack of leadership and skilled players within their outfits. And they end up getting farmed in turn, thinking they're doing okay. On the NC side, you have Recursion, which is a tactical-based drop outfit, and they specialize in point holds as well as armor and air. And so they're airborne infantry, essentially. And they move into a base, and they carefully choose their fights so they can shut down lanes and move in things. So NC outfits try and emulate that. They think that, well, that works for them, that should work for us, kind of thing. So the NC is filled with all these Spec Ops-esque type outfits. And then the TR, you have the TTA, which is frontline infantry grunts, which is all about smashing things in the face and finding big fights. And so you get the TR faction that loves to seek out big things, so they roam around in big Zerg balls. It's kind of the server culture of Connery. Now, Emerald, from my experiences, is far more spread out in that kind of mentality. You have, I don't know how else to say it, but there's a lot more caring and a lot more trying between outfit leaders to outdo each other in these things, and there's enough pride within each person's outfit that these leaders are not leaving and they're staying there, and so therefore you have a wider spread competency across a player base as well as skill. So when it comes to things like a ServerSmash where a server is represented, even if you take the egalitarian outlook, you're still good on player skill as well as individual squad leader competency. Those are my observations. Tell me, I don't know. If anyone sees, feel free to pick away, poke holes, ask questions.
Well, I mean, It's what you're saying sounds spot on. I think the general philosophy of ServerSmash is we want everyone who really wants it to have the opportunity to join, and so they've said stuff like that, but in the past officially, and so it sucks for Connery because I think you're absolutely right. I think Recursion Future Crew. Well, I know that they soak up good players. I've seen them do it, and then they are very good. I mean, Recursion has a program that if you want to stay in the outfit, you have to show that you're bettering yourself somehow. That you're improving at the game, and they're smart and they do stuff correctly and they focus on the right stuff. But I would say that they are all of the good people on Connery, basically. If I see a
guilty
Future
of this
Crew
too.
or a Recursion aircraft, or maybe not necessarily aircraft, but if I see that tag anywhere, like I'm way more alerted than if I haven't otherwise, because I know that they have surprises. I know that they're communicating and cooperating and things like that. But I mean, there's no, even if they are the majority of the good players, and if I mean, you just can't say the outfits that have better KDs are going to, have the more ServerSmash slots, even though that would give us a more competitive roster, something more along the lines of what Emerald has, just because it has a server culture that's more unique to ServerSmash. There's this sudden political problem that arises just from Connery setting up its roster in a way that would be competitive, just because of the way that outfits are spread out.
Yeah. I also have a story, and this applies to EXE and 666, but I'm going to use 666 as an example. 666 used to have a huge, massive amount of just absolutely competitive, amazing players at launch. Where it went wrong was the more competent and competitive players were gravitating around each other, so they'd run their individual squads because it's more fun running with people on your own level, your own understanding. Instead of embracing that and trying to spread that to the outfit, like I see Emerald trying to do, like a lot of Emerald outfits want to spread knowledge. Like I see lots of posts on the Emerald subreddit and the PlanetSide Reddit on advice on how to run your things, and then you get arguments on which way is better, and it's creating a competitive culture. Versus on Connery, the 6-6 deemed these guys were being elitist and kicked them from their outfit for not including the others. And so they had to go and make their own outfits, and they eventually died because they didn't have, a larger backing to keep, that tradition going.
Right.
And that happens with a lot of Connery lower tier outfits, where as soon as you want to take it to a higher level, you're called elitist, you're booted, and then you're left to your own devices. And often they quit the game or join one of the other outfits that are known to be competitive. It's an exacerbating, gross process that I see all these outfits go through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see where, as an outfit, you wouldn't want a competitive standpoint, because at least in Bell Maternus, I usually don't like tooting our own horns, but we had an issue with that where casual players were feeling left out because our competitive side was practicing so much for PAL. Wrel, you casted actually one of our matches, if you remember, way back when
Yeah, I do.
PAL Weekly was on, and we did really well. We ended up winning that week, and then as soon as the casual player base got to watch something tangible, and then it started transitioning into live play where they were interacting with higher level players and then running squads alongside them, and it raised their competency, then it all goes away because they see the results and stuff. And I just really frustrates me to see, it makes me sad to see these outfits that have these ambitions, and then these leaders and these players get shot down before that happens. And it just seems on Emerald they're far more willing to try other things because people seem like they just don't give a fuck what other people think, and that's sometimes what you gotta do to get things done. Connery's too Care Bear.
I wonder I wonder if that has something to do with just there was all throughout PlanetSide 2, maybe not all throughout, but remember when Twiff, was around and
Yep.
just Future Crew in general got a lot of publicity. As far as like some of the streams and some of the, I mean, obviously they won, SOE Live a couple of times, and it's. I wonder if people are just they use Future Crew as sort of an example of kind of what they want to be, but that it's creating just too much intolerance.
It might be because you have people on either side of the fence that either love that or hate that, and you were going to say something. Go on.
No, I'm just kind of thinking about it a little bit because, like you say, on Emerald, how I mean during ServerSmash, Jama had just led an excellent game, and I didn't really hear honestly some of the players that I was playing with, I was like beating my head against the wall. Even some of the leadership, I was like angry. So I think that and I didn't like show it while I was streaming. I streamed the whole thing, but like some of the things just didn't make sense. Like some of the commands and like people just playing not subpar, but they weren't to me like top tier. And so when you say that that you can or that Emerald in general has just more skilled players and or not more skilled players, but likes to spread it around, spread that kind of knowledge around. I think that we're able to support one another, and we're getting results at the same time because Emerald is doing well. Even if our individual play is lackluster in some degree, it's just the fact that we can still kind of move on or move through it. Or, what I'm saying, win. It's maybe a different mentality than just hey, Future Crew is top level. You need to be in Future Crew or else you won't win. It's just something that I'm thinking about right now. That I don't. Yeah.
No, I understand that completely.
Really, you were able to understand that incoherent rabble?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
No,
I'm glad we're on the same page because yeah.
No, it's just creating trains of thought, like what you should be, what I should be, and then ideas of inadequacy or over adequacy, and then you get those paradigms between people who fully support it and people who absolutely hate it. And from like a community building standpoint, from the outfit leader in me, I completely understand why these competitive outfits go and actively seek good players, because they are core players, they are consistently active, and they do things really well. Now, Rel, I just linked you a Twitch video when you get the chance to watch that, but I showed Ginger and Hater earlier. It's of the Connery ServerSmash, the one Jamal led, and it's really bad. Like they're going for a point hold on Tumas cargo. They're running up that path. There's no air bombarding them, and then the Bait squad gets taken out by sticky nades from a friendly while there is no enemy around. And that has been a lot of my guys' experience with ServerSmash, just being team killed by friendlies, friendlies being so slow to react to things. I don't know. There was one point at the ServerSmash where an EXE squad took 4 minutes to respond to an order, and they were doing nothing but regrouping. Just the little things that Emerald seems that they'll get on each other in, I don't want to say a supportive way, but a competitive enough way that everyone wants to do better, which is really nice to see, really cool from my standpoint, and just that kind of PlanetSide nerd and what I want PlanetSide to be and live all the time. But what do you do?
I think, Wrel, if you have any feedback on this, but we should, you go ahead, but I think we should switch topics soon.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I think, Roids, do you have anything left on ServerSmash?
I got my rant over with. I apologize if I offended anyone, but holy cow.
That's really interesting to hear. Yeah, that's kind of. It's funny that you can point those things out because for the most part, it's just like a random player wouldn't be able to pick up on it.
It's just all those little things. There's a lot of trickle down effect from what larger outfits do in server cultures, and old Matherson DA would do a lot of things with playing different factions to try and balance days out and stuff like that to keep factions even keel, to keep fights competitive and stuff like that. We're starting to do that with Bade Air. We're now running NC to counter the Vanu Air Swarm.
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting.
The Royal Liberator of PK, Homing Bacon, and Brahma is on the case.
Dang.
And thoroughly enjoying the farm.
Well, that's Wrel. That's impressive. I wanted more Wrel puns this episode. I'm sorry.
But yeah, and then Future Crew, who's more about internal and intercompetitive things, which is they actually have their guys. I just want to put this out here for the record. Future Crew is a great organization, and some of the nicest bunch of guys you'll ever talk to. They don't deserve the hate they get half the time, but that might be an exception just for the team killing thing. I've had good interactions with him, however, but they're concerned about internal community building, so they recruit the most interesting, the most dynamic, and the best players. And they are just concerned about fighting each other and being competitive for things that are outside of live. And that's their concern.
All right. So we're going to move on to emails, then do story time real quick and close this off. This has been a very deep discussion-centric episode, which is probably a good thing, because this is all really good analysis. But I'm going to move on to emails this week. Our first email is from Clintimus.
And it is as follows. This one too.
I just Araxium the Vortec. Thanks, by the way, Roids. Happy face. I'm assuming you helped him with that. And I'm now switching over. He let him
stat pad.
Yeah.
Clint got it on me.
Oh, really?
It took him 7 tries to finally get me, but he did. He got the Vortec Araxium on me. So congrats, Clint.
That is an honor.
Much honor, bro, Clintimus. You've given me many a good duel.
And I'm now switching over to the default Mustang. I'm finding it hard to find a good place to use it in. Any advice on it would be helpful, and maybe you can talk about the default nose guns and talk about their strengths and weaknesses. Anyways, keep up the support. Clintimus. Okay, Clintimus. So I would say for the default nose gun, starting off, the Mustang is kind of awkward on the Reaver, because the Reaver itself is set up to be a get in close and dominate in hover duels, essentially, at least within the realm of hover duels. The Vortec and the hover strength just gives it a little bit more mobility, so it can do that and it can get in close. It has strong afterburner power to help it get in close, and it has such a huge hitbox that if it tries to take like a Scython at long range, the Scythe's just going to have a way easier time shooting it. I mean, not only because the Sauron's a better gun at long range than the Mustang, it's more accurate, it travels faster, I think. But the Reaver's just freaking huge. And so I think the best way to use the default Mustang, and this is actually the way that X kind of described it to me, but as a support weapon. You're not necessarily going to be hover dueling with it, but maybe if you want to fly with the wingman, who is a good duelist, let them get in close, be in there and tank the damage and stuff, and you are supporting with it. You're using it. You can use it against a slightly wider variety of targets just because you can keep firing with it. You just try to stay out of duels. You try to stay a little bit further back, play it a little bit safer, and help other people by getting that extra damage in, would be my advice. Do you guys have any? Wrel, do you use the default, or?
Yeah, I do. I like the air hammer personally, but
air hammer's a hell
default one. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, air hammer is such a glorious weapon.
It's so much fun.
Air hammer OP.
It got nerfed. Shut up.
Banshee it's literally smiting things. It's actually
Banshee
a buff if you get him with that. Oh my god. Banshee underpowered.
Banshee's so underpowered, bro. These bombs.
I honestly don't know why people complain about the Banshee, because the PPA is like light PPA is just, it's outstanding, and you can do it from like infinite, or you can do it from render range, and pick off.
I know.
Infantry.
Most people don't though, is the thing.
No, and it's funny because we're only hearing like about the Banshee because that's what the community wants to complain about right now. But as soon as as soon as the Banshee gets nerfed, or as soon as people start like using Scythe PPA more, it's going to become more relevant. It's just it's funny. It's just funny how the whole you need to build up momentum with your complaints, and then it'll become a thing.
Just wait, month and a half, you'll start seeing canister cries for nerfs.
Oh, I'm already starting. It's so good. It's so good.
It's been buffed so many times, and it is so ridiculously good. Like holy cow! I was in a squad the other day, and we were behind a rock, and then a canister vanguard just drives up beside us. 2 shots, 12 people.
Wow.
2 shots.
What?
Because we were just
That's
bunched
laughable.
up. It was hilarious. We were just laughing in our teams because just like, guys, we're bad. We should uninstall. Like, holy cow! But that thing
That's worse than a full galaxy getting shot down by like a tomcat.
No, it's so humiliating. And we just like, we need to kill that vanguard. Like, fuck the KD, fuck anything, but just that vanguard dies.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay, anyway, back to Clint's email. Do you guys, Hater and your infinite knowledge of all ESF guns, what do you think the strength of the primary is, just in general?
It's pretty much in versatility. It's more of a jack of all trades, master of none type of gun. Though it does excel more in ranged dogfighting, or just ranged anything really, just because it has less drop off at range, or I guess a longer range for drop off. Especially with the Mosquito, it's kind of in a special case where in the short range zones, the Rotary and the Needler both do the same amount of damage, and the only thing that's different is the fire rate of the Rotary is higher, so that's why the Rotary is going to be better in short range. But it loses its damage for longer ranges. That's where the Needler kind of kicks in and becomes more advantageous. For the Reaver and Scythe, they have different damage values to begin with, so they're a little bit different, but conceptually they're the same. So the default nose guns are always going to be better as an anti-lib type of weapon.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The cone of fire, along with the amount of ammo you have, you can take down multiple libs with your default gun, whereas the Rotary,
yeah,
you have to get in close, first of all, which is the dangerous thing, and the damage drop-off is ridiculous on the Rotaries. So you have to get in close to deal damage. Otherwise,
100 meters is not much in the air. So
I have maxed out ammo size on my Hailstorm for my BS, and it takes me around 545 bullets to kill a lib if I'm not within my maximum damage range. And that's a long time, and that's a lot of bullets. Whereas if I use my Sauron, because the damage is more at range, I only use around 300.
And it's more like the default nose guns will allow for more consistent pressure, just because you're shooting so many more bullets, even though it does take a little longer. Especially with the Needler, you're putting bullets on target for like 10 seconds straight, and that's gonna annoy that lib crew.
All they hear is
so that's kind of its advantage. Yeah. That and just overall ammo capacity. If you feel like you have problems with having to go back and rearm a whole ton with the Rotary, get the ammo capacity on the default nose guns sorted out all the way, or even just halfway. When they're sorted out halfway, they already have more ammo than the Rotaries do sorted all the way. So their advantage is in ammo and magazine size, really.
Oh, I want to derail this. Wait, yeah, I do. The nose guns, the NS ones. How do you feel about that?
NS nose guns? The
Locust
anti-lib
ones. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Don't ever use them.
They're bad.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Unless you're galaxy hunting or armor shooting, I wouldn't use them.
Yeah, like
okay.
The thing was, what I don't like about them is that they were made for the purpose of being a more new pilot friendly type of nose gun, and they do that horribly, I think, because having more ammo to shoot, being more forgiving for missing shots, it's not gonna help you when you've got a worse fire rate or a damage drop off. And
well, the thing is, if they buffed
Yeah.
it to be in line with the other rotaries in the hands of a good pilot with that much spam, holy cow!
yeah,
All right, I'm
And,
gonna. We're like overtime already, so I'm gonna transition.
we've
us.
been way over for a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, transition. Let's go.
So we're gonna transition to the other email. It's from Good Enough, and it is.
You want me to read it?
Oh my god, I'll edit out that pause. Oh, that was long. All right, it was. There, I assumed there would be salutation, which is why I wanted to double check the email, but there was not. The email is as follows: Emperor Penguin 5, 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 Emperor. This goes on for.
Can you
50,
paraphrase
I believe. I told him to email us when I ran into him on Emerald. He said he would email us with Emperor Penguin 5's name 50 times. I said, do it. And Hater is now moist or something. That's Good Enough's email. Thank you, Good Enough. That was insightful. More insightful than anything we've really talked about this episode. So that was just
Appreciate
great.
it.
Thank you so much.
That's for SOE head.
Story time.
Story time. Wrel.
Oh, come on. Come on.
It's because yours is related to what we just talked about.
Yeah,
apparently.
isn't it? Okay. All right. So I think that a lot of people know Emperor Penguin in the air, but what can he do on the ground? I was riding my Flash. So after the 360 Rumble Seas got implemented, and I was like, no, I can go solo Flash. So I'm romping around, and I see this guy spamming AV turret rounds, and I switch over to the rumble seat, and I make a Hail Mary dumbfire. No, it's not even Hail Mary. It was accurate because I'm a skillful god, and end up one-shotting none other than Mr. Emperor Penguin. He probably would have sent me a message like a hateful whatever, but I have him ignored on all my accounts, so. I think it's karma.
Penguin.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Indeed.
I have a GIF. I have a nice GIF of it. I had to save it. It might be framed on my wall as soon as you get technology to have GIFs
I've
on your
already
wall.
printed it. It's on my wall right now. Every single frame of that GIF.
They're electronic picture frames now. You need to do that.
Yeah.
Just get a nice frame it with gold trim, and it'll just be that GIF on your wall.
That's good. People will walk in my house.
Work,
What's
be
this?
the picture of your family.
One time. Yeah, sitting right next to it. Yeah. Oh, this is when my wife and I got married. Oh, this is when I dumbfired Emperor Penguin from the back of a Rumble Seat Flash. Both equally memorable.
But one has a bigger frame.
Yeah, one has a bigger golden frame. From Wrel with love, Emperor Penguin.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Highlight of the gaming career.
Okay, Roids, you have to go next. What is your story about? Hangers?
Okay, so
because I might have a good segue if this is what I think it's about. So
earlier today, I got casted in this little local film, so that's what I was doing. But anyways, I play the overprotective brother of this girl that's gonna move in with her boyfriend. So this one scene, I'm just flipping the fuck out about her moving in with this guy. So I'm grab the suitcase, put it on the bed, and I'm throwing all these fucking clothes into it. And this one girl's house we're using to film this at, her bedroom has all her tank tops and clothing on hangers. And they're not like the normal hangers where there's the gentle curve, you can take them off easy kind of thing. They're like those fucking things you see at Holiday Inn, so you can't steal shit. So while we're filming and I'm trying to remember my lines, there's multiple times where I'm nearly yanking the bar off the wall because I'm trying take these fucking hangers off the wall. I'm like, Blair! I'm like, fuck, hangers! Fucking hangers!
Okay.
That's good.
In my closet, like half of the hangers are normal smooth hangers, and half of them have those hooks. So I'll just walk up to my closet. I want to put a shirt on, and I'll grab it, and I'll be like, "Please," and then it'll catch on the hook, and I'll be like, "God fucking damn it! I hate the world." Then I'll have to go and unhook it, and fucking ruins my day right off the bat.
And so there was literally about 25 takes of me just trying to get the shit off the hangers and throw it into the suitcase. Just because it has to be smooth and seamless, but most of the times there were some funny moments where I was like halfway through delivering a line and then I forget it, and you just see my arm yanking this pole, trying to get these hangers off. And I was just like,
oh god, yeah.
so we're gonna
Speaking
make
of
t-shirts
hangers,
now.
speaking of hangers, yes, this is a good segue into mine. So, back in basic training, one of my main jobs inside the dormitory was to I was in charge of the utility closet, which has all the cleaning supplies and shit, but most importantly, and it was actually the most important part of my job, was I had to pass out hangers every night and then take them back every morning for everyone to put up their uniforms for display and shit, because they're actually very strict about how you display your uniforms and all that. So having a hanger was very important. I was an important man. But eventually, like once everyone's getting used to all their jobs and stuff, and I'm used to doing this, I start getting pissed off at people who are like breaking their hangers or just like not giving them to me in time for us to get shit done, right? And so eventually, everyone just starts making fun of me for that. Like, oh hey, you want a hanger, hater? And just like, there's so many jokes. It's all the inside jokes, so I won't go over all of them. But people just make fun of me for being the hanger man. And it gets to the point where I start getting pissed off about it, but I'm trying to take it lightly still. And one day, some of the guys they distracted me and brought me to one of the other rooms. And I go back to my bunk, and I have about 200 cardboard hangers hanging above my bed and underneath it, and just in this intricate pattern just all around it. And I just like look at them, and they're just like, "Hey man, I need a hanger. You got a hanger for me?" And this happens every day. Every single day they make a new pattern, or they hang up hangers in new awesome locations for me to find. And this happens for about 4 weeks straight through all of basic training. And when was it? Like 2 weeks ago. We're already way out of basic. We're in our tech school and places now. One of the guys sent me a quote-unquote care package. What was in it?
Oh my god.
100 hangers. And it was just like, "Hey Guthrie, I need a hanger." Was the note he left.
God.
So yeah, that's that. It's one of those you had to have been there type things, but it's basically probably the biggest inside joke in my entire graduating flight is me and hangers have this thing. It's I fucking hate it, but I can't not love it too.
That sounds like a much more friendly experience than my boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was your leadership doing? Like letting this people?
They just weren't there when it happened. We get maybe like an hour a day where they're not there if we're lucky.
Okay.
Usually on Sundays. Every other hour of the day they're there though.
Yeah, I don't know. I was in charge of the bathrooms.
Latrine
The
queen.
head. Nah, well, yeah, you call it the head in the Navy, but
Yeah, I know you do, but yeah.
It was man. How do you know how difficult it is to make people not pee in certain urinals and or like wait in line when they have to take a dump because you only want to use one stall opposed to 5? Yeah. No, it's a very, very difficult job. I mean, I'll clean the stuff all day long, but arguing with these people, yeah. I don't know.
Our guy who was in charge of the latrine, he would come out of the room every morning after everyone had eaten breakfast and taken their morning shit, and he'd be yelling like, "Who didn't put the fucking seats down? The fuck, guys! Someone didn't flush! What the fuck? Why didn't you flush?" It's hilarious. Every day, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways.
okay. I was. This is mildly related, but I was on campus the other day, and I was going into I was just going to the bathroom in one of the bathrooms in one of the buildings, and in this building, like people fucking always never flush the urinals ever, like ever, and there were two of them were fine, and I'd start going to the bathroom, and I finish up and wash my hands, and the guy next to me starts going the guy comes in and goes and uses the other urinal. And he, like, walks out without, like, washing his hands or anything. And I look back and he's fucking pissed in the urinal. I was like, I fucking caught you.
Yeah, but what do you do? What do you do? Chase him
I
down?
want to go out in the hallway
Hey.
and be like, you were part of the fucking problem. And everyone would be like, what are you talking about?
Oh, you're talking about that NC outfit, right?
Yeah, nice.
Emerald joke.
GG!
Alright, yep, nope, I don't have a story. That was, I told too many stories.
There's your story.
Yeah, there we go. Hangers and poop. So...
Hangers.
That's all we got. Thank you for joining us, Wrel, and you can find, as with last week, Wrel's YouTube channel in the description. Thank you, Wrel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. And remember... Oh, wait. Email us, utrpodcast@gmail.com.
Tune in next week.
Topic ideas and stuff, and we will potentially use them on the show, and if not, I will email you back. You will always get something out of emailing us.
Next week, live stream.
Next week, we will be live streaming Sunday at 12. Tentatively follow us on Twitter to find out exactly when that's going to be, and in general, follow us on Twitter. It makes us look more professional when we ask people to come on the show and stuff, so that's cool. And remember...
to keep it under the radar.
I already know what I'm going to call this episode. It's going to be Under the Radar, episode 27. A really long episode.
Yeah.
Such creative. Much wow.
Yeah.
Are you just
Nah.
sick of Wrel puns now? Like, is that...
You have no idea, dude. Malorn was like, I was doing Battle Rank Go, which is like an official PlanetSide 2 live stream show now, and Malorn was sitting in chat egging these people on to do Wrel puns throughout the entire hour. Like, how you ran out, you started over, and then you did it again. It doesn't make sense.
Maybe no Wrel puns. We'll never get him back on the show, ever.
No, I don't really care. It's just funny.
I thought it was really clever.